Hello and welcome back to the Love Machine podcast. Are you tired of endless messaging that goes absolutely nowhere? Are you sick of ghosting, game playing, and feeling like you're stuck in a never ending swipe cycle? You are not alone. Studies show that over 60% of dating app users say they feel absolutely burned out by online dating. But don't worry, this week's episode of the Love Machine podcast is here to change the game. And I am joined by the amazing Hope Flynn. She is a sex and relationships expert and founder of the female empowerment community So What, and she is brand ambassador to the groundbreaking new dating app Finding the One. The new app designed to actually get people to go out on dates. And Hope will bring us real talk, expert insight, and a whole lot of hope, pun intended, when it comes to the future of love and dating. So in this uplifting and eye-opening episode, we'll be delving into the latest dating trends, why modern apps leave people absolutely frustrated, the shocking truth about carouseling and ghosting culture, and why actually going out on dates is the revolution that we need. So this episode is absolutely perfect for anybody who's ready to ditch the BS, laugh about the madness, and finally find a more meaningful way to connect. Let's break free together from swipe fatigue and fall in love with dating once again. Hope, how you doing?
Hi, James. I'm doing good, thank you.
Good. I'm
Yeah,
really
good.
excited to have you. We've had a good chat before a couple of times, and I know you've got great energy and you're going to have lots of useful information. So tell us more about you, first of all. How did you become a sex and relationships expert?
I became a sex and dating relationships expert purely through talking to thousands of women, mainly about their dating and sex lives. As you mentioned, I have this online community and it kind of started from that. Then I started working in the sexual health industry, sexual wellness, and yeah, it just kind of developed over the last few years. So I've heard it all.
I bet you have. I'm looking forward to hearing about it all in a minute. So what I've discovered, because I coach a lot of people with the same sort of issues, and people absolutely hate the fact they go on these dating apps and they are swiping all the time, having pen pals, that dates that go absolutely nowhere. What are the most common frustrations that you see?
People are just tired. It's like you mentioned, it's that continual messaging and never actually going on a date, never meeting that person in real life. Some people have spent up to like 2 years just talking on apps. And I think it's kind of since COVID, people have become quite comfortable with the talking online, but they're fearing actually meeting up in person. And people are just tired of it. Or you'll be talking to someone and then they just disappear off the app. So,
It's ghosting.
yeah.
Ghosting is it happens all the time, and it's becoming more of a problem than ever.
Hmm.
2 years, wow, that's incredible. People just talking, and I can remember back years and years ago when I was single and I was talking to women on the internet, back on different social media sites and beyond that. You just do it because you're a little bit lonely, just a bit of communication, just a bit of
Yeah.
friendship. But now people are using these apps for dating purposes and they're not getting into it. There's a block somewhere that's happening that's actually getting them to give them that push. So let's talk about the app then, first of all, Finding the One, because that is all
Yeah.
about getting people from the apps onto actual dates, isn't it? So what makes it different? What's so special about the app?
So, what makes it different is that you only unlock conversation 24 hours before your date, which means you don't have the opportunity to have those 2 years. You don't build up the nerves and the fear of. I actually think oversharing sometimes is what causes people not to go on those dates, and you miss those really nice in-person moments when you get to discover something about someone. So, that's what makes it different. And they tell you off for ghosting and they tell you off for not turning up on dates. They have a like three strikes you're out system. So if people don't turn up on a date or they ghost, they get a strike against their name, which I love.
That should be permanent. They don't need three chances. I think one's enough. If someone were to ghost me on a date and not turn
Mm.
up, goodbye. They get a second chance.
I know. It's just like, there can be reasons why certain things happen. So I think it's always important to give people a chance. But yeah, just giving that strike system means that you're kind of building a community of serious people that actually want to meet up and go out on dates.
Yeah, and that's so important. Have you ever been stood up on a date before?
I've never like sat in a restaurant and been stood up. However, last year was my first experience with arranging a date with someone and then them going quiet a few days before and the date not happening. And like, I don't know if it was my ego, but it really upset me. It's just, I just wanted an answer. Just make an excuse. Just cancel. It's just rude. Yeah, so I've never sat in the restaurant waiting for someone, but I've definitely people have gone quiet and the date's not happened.
People ask me that. Lots of women will say to me that the gentleman, we call them gentlemen in the matchmaking and dating agency route, they're all gentlemen,
Okay.
of course, and they will arrange a date and they will talk on the phone, maybe have a date, and then sort of 5 or 6 days before the date, they wait till the day before. And gentleman, is not confirmed. He's not been in
Hmm.
contact. You know what happens? And so the woman said, "Well, we talked about making plans tomorrow. He hasn't really finalised it. What do I do? Should I text him? Should I chase him up and see what's going on?" No, no. I think it's the man's job to reassure the woman the day before, to contact them and say, "Look, this is what we're doing. Looking forward to seeing you." If you're
Yeah.
if you're waiting on the day itself to get a date with somebody, and if they haven't finalised the plan, sorry, I'm too busy now. And then the
Hmm.
person, this works both ways, of course, as well. Then they have to realise that to make someone a priority, you've got to be a priority, and therefore
Yeah.
you can't. Do you think that's pretty outrageous to trying to confirm a date on the morning itself?
So I'm just trying to reflect on like my own personal experiences, like what's happened. It's hard to kind of build that sort of trust with someone until you've been on a first date because you know you could date someone a few times and then you arrange to meet on, let's just say on a Thursday,
Yeah,
but like you're confident that it's going to happen. So you're just like, oh, see you, looking forward to seeing you later.
yeah,
But that initial first date, I don't necessarily think it should be the man that confirms it. It should be whoever kind of called the date on that should
yeah.
confirm it. Like,
Mhm.
just check in. A lot of people are nervous. And one thing that a lot of girls that I know do is they get really excited for dates. They plan outfits, they get their hair, their nails done, and they like research restaurant menus. So, and that starts happening like a few days in advance. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if you're not hearing from someone and they're not checking in, you're right. It's probably not happening. I'm just trying to recall
I
if
loved
I
how your advice
messaged,
changed when you reflected on it. I like that.
yeah.
You're adaptable, Hope. That's good. You end up agreeing with me. It's funny. I think it takes a woman a lot of time, like you said, to get ready, to mentally prepare, choose the outfit. Some women don't get their hair done, the makeup, the new outfits, and they've got to think about their safety in the evening going out, all these different things.
Yeah.
If the man's not told them where they're going and what time and where to meet them, then sorry, they got to learn next time. But everyone gets a chance, like you said earlier on. People do
Yeah.
make mistakes. You just say, "Look, I'm sorry, I've made other plans now. I didn't hear back from you. If you want to see me again, then let's do it, and we'll put something in the diary. But let me know where and when next time."
Yeah.
Because
I
a lot of people
think
have options, don't they?
Yeah, so many. Well, we feel like we have a lot of options, that's for sure. But what I think, and why I think Finding the One is quite an important app to have right now, is that you're making that commitment. You're going on there. If you agree to go on a date, that's it. It should be locked in. And that's why that strike system's also great because it's showing that someone's not being true to their word.
Mm.
And hopefully that kind of 24-hour talking, go on the date the next day,
Yeah.
hopefully that will get rid of a lot of people's like anxiety and nerves because they know they're going on that date and boom, if I say I'm going to be there, then I'm going to be there because I'm trying to be serious about it. It's for serious daters.
And that's so important, I think. You want someone who's serious and not going to waste your time. And so many people do talk for days and weeks and months on end. There's no need for that. You break the ice, you get on with it and arrange a date as quickly as possible. Why the excitement is
Hmm.
there. If you sit
Yeah.
back and you wait and you talk for days or weeks or months, I can guarantee that person will meet someone else who will be quicker to go and snap you up and go on the date. So you lose
Yeah.
interest. So I think that's a great concept for an app to do that. Something else you said just now made me laugh. You mentioned how women like to research the menus in advance. Do you do
Yeah.
that? Do you?
I don't actually, but I know a lot of women that do. I'll like maybe have a little look on the I don't know sometimes, but no, I'm not really. I can barely decide what I'm gonna eat when the menu's in front of me, so I don't add that extra stress prior, but a lot of people do.
I think I probably would do if it was me doing it.
Mm,
My wife told me before she met me, she'd go out on dates and she'd go to restaurants where there'd be two menus. One
yeah.
would be one with the prices that the man would have, and the one without the prices the woman would get. And then she'd purposely have no clue what these meals cost and just order whatever she fancied, which is a great philosophy. But imagine the shock of that if there's no prices in there. Luckily, I've never taken her to one of those restaurants, and I would refuse. I didn't stand for that. But have you ever been to a restaurant that's done that, had no prices in the menu?
I think so. Yeah,
Is
because
it a normal thing?
I've been to some classy restaurants. But
Yeah, maybe I'm not.
yeah, I know again, like it's that whole who's paying for the date kind of conversation as well, and that causes big debates. But I'm a believer that for me, a guy's got to pay on the first date.
Yeah,
They do.
of course they do, unless the woman's purposely invited the man out somewhere special, that's something that she really wants to do. Maybe there's a theatre show she wants to go and see, and she's inviting him. She's got a spare ticket and so forth.
Yeah, that's different. Then he should still cover the cost of the food then.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's again, it's about respect, and it's not about feminism. It's not about equality. It's the simple
No.
fact, like you said earlier, women take a lot of time to get ready and energy. A man might have a shower if you put a shirt on if you're lucky, and that's it. That's the level of what we do to go out on dates to prepare ourselves. So it's about making them feel safe, making them feel comfortable, and absolutely the man has to pay. But so many people now just go. So many people do that go for dinner on a first date. They go for drinks anyway.
Mhm.
And drinks, you know what? If you want to buy a round and they buy a round, doesn't really matter. It's not the end of the world. But
Yeah.
I think if a woman doesn't offer to pay the bill, the man shouldn't accept, but the woman has to offer. Do you normally offer if someone takes you out?
I pretend.
Pretend, yes, that's it. Pretend.
I'm just honest. But yeah,
Yeah.
I actually mentioned this like the other week. I was talking to someone and I was saying that when I was younger, I very much had this idea that a man should take me on a big elaborate first date and it's expensive and stuff. But now that I'm older and I actually live in
Pay
the
for
real
stuff.
world, yeah, and I live in the real world, I understand that why should someone do that? I'm very into quite casual dating.
Yeah.
I mean, like a casual setting, sorry. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just even go for like a nice walk somewhere, grab a coffee, grab a little pastry or something. Like just depending what you want to do. It doesn't have to be big and elaborate all the time.
I would disagree with that slightly. And the only
Really?
reason
Oh yeah, that's good.
the only reason I'm disagreeing with it is something that's come up quite a lot on the podcast with other
Hmm.
experts recently. And I ask everyone the question anyway, normally
Yeah.
about this. I believe that what you said is absolutely fine. When you've been on a first date, absolutely go for a walk, go and do an activity, go for something a bit more chilled out. But for the first date, it does not need to be extravagant, does not need to be expensive, but it's got to be something to look forward to in the course of a day. Going for a coffee or a walk, that's not something that we do that
See,
every day anyway.
I just, I don't know. I like that idea. I kind of don't like time frames on a date. That's one thing that I don't do. So, say if I was meeting someone on a Sunday, let's say for a coffee and a walk,
Yeah,
I would like to not have plans and just see where that day goes.
yeah,
And that's exciting to me. But then that's me. But I hear what you're saying. But I think for
yeah,
some people where they're like sort of, you know, nervous and they just want something a bit relaxed or chilled, or maybe they don't have the money, let's say. Just I don't really
yeah.
see what's wrong with. Do you know what? I take your point on board.
It
Make it
depends.
more exciting. And maybe it's just because I think I'm exciting enough.
Well, you are absolutely, but I think it's about making it the highlight of your day. So you've got something to
Yeah.
look forward to all day long. And I think if you go for a coffee, you could be doing that between work meetings, between shopping trips, going for a walk. You may as well be walking your dog. It's not something. It's difficult also to get eye contact when you're going for a walk, but that's another thing. I think relaxed dates absolutely
Okay.
important, but I think the other extreme with this, you mentioned about extravagant, really expensive dates, and there are some
Hmm.
women out there that come to me and say, James, I really expect the man. I want him to take control, book me the most expensive restaurant, pay for it, buy me all the drinks, treat me like an absolute queen, spend all this money on me. That's my expectation. And I would say to them, is your expectation at the end of this, you're then going to sleep with them? Because
Hmm.
that'll be the man's expectation, if that's what it is, if they're spending all this money investing in you in that time. And of course, there's no obligations for anything, there's no expectations. So make it simple. That's absolute nonsense. But women tell me that. They expect men to pay for everything. It's how they've been used. Or the extreme, they will not let a man pay a penny because they can pay their own way. And that's a
Yeah.
different story. How do you feel about that?
So, like I said, I'm a pay for the first date kind of vibe, but that does not mean I'm going to sleep with you.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I guess if I'm talking personally,
Well, that's what we're
my
here for, isn't it?
yeah, talking personally, I'm self-employed. I work for myself. When I fall pregnant, I don't have maternity pay. I like, you know, a guy to be the sort of provider, let's just say.
Yeah, and
And
that's
I expect them, if like you've got to show that you can look after your girl, I think.
you do. And of course, a lot of women earn more money than the men do nowadays as well,
Yeah,
which
I
is
mo most people I know actually earn more money, and I earn more money than quite a lot of men as well. But
so do I.
yeah,
But that
well,
aside, something in common, isn't it? And I am just joking, of course. See the funny thing to say, okay? Right?
but no,
But
I like you've given me some food for thought because maybe you're right. Maybe a walk and a coffee isn't enough. Maybe I should rethink that. And
maybe it's something to think
yeah,
about. I
thanks,
have heard,
James.
I have heard other dating coaches talk about this,
Hmm.
and I had a
Hmm.
call with someone recently. And they said to me, I spoke to another coach. They said, and they told me to go for a walk on the first date. Oh, they've stolen that idea from another dating coach who's quite well known.
Yeah.
And I said, it's all nonsense anyway. You don't want to go for a walk. This is not COVID. Particularly, the weather's a bit nicer now, but this is during winter when it was really cold. Who wants to go for a walk then? It's mainly about creating that chemistry, and the chemistry could be there when you've already met somebody. But for a first interaction, everyone's a bit nervous. There's no eye contact. You've got to have some interactions face to face to really bond with someone and get to know them in a comfortable situation. And there are some people out there that recommend going for walks. I'm not one of them, but you know what? Life is about breaking rules. Do what you want to do, what feels appropriate.
Hmm.
And I just know when I was single, the ones I had that we went for a coffee, they didn't tend to lead to second dates. When I went out for,
Okay.
when I went out for a couple of cocktails in the evening, 9 times out of 10 they did. And I hardly drink nowadays. I was a bigger drinker then in my younger days. In my acting days, I always drank, is what I did, but I don't now. So to me, even drinking more than one drink is quite a big deal. But I think people need one or two drinks to relax sometimes on a
Yeah,
date.
well, people loosen up, right? But
Yeah,
a lot of people now, especially the younger generation, they don't actually drink.
no, yeah,
So there's other activities for that, like grabbing a coffee.
and going for a milkshake, going bowling, doing these things. People are doing
Yeah,
it.
do
Yeah,
an activity, but I don't I'm taking on board what you've said, and yeah, I like what you've said, but I still think for some people a little walk
yeah.
and grabbing a coffee could be the
How
vibe.
about we compromise on this? How about you
Okay.
go for a coffee, but somewhere nice, a
Hmm.
nice environment, somewhere a bit more, maybe a hotel lobby or somewhere, maybe in the evening where it's a bit more candles and something a bit more magical to sort of work into there.
Okay.
And if
Okay,
you're
you're
going to go
selling
for
you're selling it to me, James.
good, there you go. I'm telling you, that's I've been doing this a long time. But my advice, I'm all about creating chemistry and creating romance.
Hmm.
And something I find with a lot of my guys in particular, I'm going to ask you about this. That's what we're here for. It's
Yeah.
the podcast, isn't it? I have
Yeah.
a lot of guys who are not getting second dates because
Hmm.
they're doing exactly what I think they're doing, which is going out for walks. I had a lovely client yesterday. He told me he went out for a walk around. They're all telling me this actually. I went for a walk around the museum, then we went and sat in the cafe, and then we had a chat. We walked around the grounds. Oh, he doesn't want to see me again. Where's the romance in that? How do you make someone feel special sitting in a cafe in a museum? It's fine if you know someone and you've already bonded, you have a great deep conversation. That's absolutely fine. After a first date, do what you want. And remember what I said before. But men have no clue about romance whatsoever. True or false?
I think that's false because I've dated some very romantic men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But generally speaking, I would say you're right. There's
Yeah.
there's
Of
women,
course, there's romantic men.
yeah,
Yeah.
women tend to be a bit more romantic and they think these things through and they want the flowers and they want the candles and they want the magic and all of that. But for me, someone makes me feel special more through the way they communicate and interact with me. And I believe that could happen in a cafe, in a museum, or it could happen in a fancy restaurant, or it could happen sat inside their car For me, it's more about,
I remember those days.
yeah, like when you're young.
When you're young, all you do is sit in people's
I
cars.
me and this guy, he actually ended up being my boyfriend, but we went on like we were seeing each other and we went on a car date and we like pulled up in a car park and we actually ended up getting locked in the car park and his friend had to come with an angle grinder and get us out.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
I don't even want to know where that went. Okay, right. Interesting. It's angle grinding. It looked in a car park. Wow, it must have been dark at that stage.
It
Didn't you
was.
realise everyone else was leaving, or was that the whole point?
I think that was the whole point, James.
I had a date once in a car park in Gatwick Airport.
Very special.
Very special.
Were you taking her on a flight? Was you flying her to Paris?
No, she just lived near there, so we agreed to meet there. We thought we're not going to go in the actual place because you have to. For some reason, we didn't want to go in there. So I don't remember the reasons for this, or I remember just having a bit of a fumble, should we say, in the
Yeah.
afternoon in the car in the car park in Gatwick.
Now that
And
is an expensive date.
it was, but I've learned over the years. And between you and me, by the time this episode goes out, I would have gone to Gatwick and flown off somewhere on holiday. So I'm going to think about this when I go.
Yeah.
It will traumatise me. But it wasn't a bad date, but it wasn't very romantic.
Hmm.
Something you mentioned just now about women expect the flowers. Do you think flowers on a first date is appropriate?
It can be a bit cheesy. I wouldn't say a whole bunch. I mean, I think it's sweet. And I wouldn't go, I think it's sweet, but
Okay.
no. A few,
No.
a few dates in, it's so bad because women want all this stuff, but then when guys do certain things, then they're seen as really keen, and then that gives a bit. And I hate the word ick. It's just, but it puts people off. It's like, oh, he's a bit keen, or, but what's wrong? I don't know what's wrong with a guy waiting there with a little flower for you, or it's sweet.
I think if the right person does it, it's the most
Hmm.
romantic thing in the world. If the wrong person does it, it's the creepiest thing ever.
Yeah,
And
yeah, you're right.
the reason I'm asking you this is I was looking at my website the last few days and about the blogs on there and what gets the traffic and so forth.
Hmm.
You understand about this. And one of the blogs on my website is called Flowers on a First Date. And I say
Hmm.
on there that you shouldn't get flowers on a first date because the simple reason that the woman's then got to carry these flowers around the whole night. That's why.
Or
And
he has.
Oh, he has, but it's still someone's got to hold these flowers, which is a bit much for a first date. But I understand the romantic gesture of it. The amount of people that have messaged me over the years, particularly women, saying that's terrible advice. You should always get women flowers, and it's always controversial. So I've left it on the website of me saying no, don't get them flowers, purely just to get people interacting and just to have a bit of a go.
I'm gonna check it out and see what people have said.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll ask my community what they think.
ask them what they think because I'll be
Yeah.
updating it this week.
Okay.
Because it's dropped in traffic. But it was one of my most converting website pages, and it's other people have written advice on it. I want to change my advice and update it for the 2025. But
Yeah.
it was written to be controversial, and it's not the best blog. But I'm updating it, so I'd like to know your thoughts on this. In fact, anyone listening to this, anyone listening to the podcast, what are your thoughts? Should you get flowers on a first date? And I have heard also the reason I say about it depends on the person. I've
Hmm.
heard people who've gone on a date and then the next day flowers have arrived at their office or flowers have arrived at their apartment. And again, if it's the right person, I can't believe it. That was so romantic. The next person, I'm blocking them. They're
Hmm.
stalking me. It's terrible. It's interesting because men
Yeah.
can't win, can they? Overall,
No, and you're so right. Like, there's some things that one man can do that I don't mind or I love or I think's like cute about them, but then there could be another man that does the same thing and I'm like, It really just depends on the person because sometimes you're so blindsided by someone's like charisma or yeah, all of this stuff.
I know it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, but it's a curse and a blessing.
It's really hard. It's really hard. And again, I think you lose a lot of those sparks and stuff when you spend so much time just endlessly chatting to someone. All of those moments when you find out about someone and like, where they grew up and their school and, just to see their face
Yeah.
and their expressions and how they act and how they maneuver and all of those things. That's why I think that app, Finding the One's really good because I hate over talking before a date because I love all those special moments. And I hate it. another thing that I hate is when I'm going on a date with someone and I don't like know them, but let's just say someone else I know knows them, and I'm told stuff about them. It really ruins and takes away those things that I want to hear from them.
Such as what?
Yeah, like I was going on a date with some guy, and then my cousin Googled him and found out loads of stuff about his like family. Like they're quite sort of, I don't really know how to, let's just say well known. They're quite well known and all of this stuff. And I didn't know that. And then it was just like, I don't know, it just ruined it for me. It would have been nice to maybe not know that about him,
Yeah,
you know?
that's a big problem with dating is Googling
Mm,
itself. Because I mentioned before, I work with lots of different matchmaking companies, and they're quite high profile people often. I have celebrity clients, and so do they. They will be given a short profile of somebody, sometimes without a photograph, so you can't identify
yeah,
them. Women in particular will sit there, they will Google the hell out of this person until they find them. He's got an
yeah,
unusual first name. This is his job. They will find them, and
hmm,
you're filling in the gaps of information you don't know. That's
yeah.
the reality. And you're right. You should do that for yourself and get to know them and trust the process.
You
And
should definitely do it for, I think a lot of women, let's just take away from them being nosy or like wanting to like find out everything immediately. I would personally do that for like a safety element. But then again, with verification on particular apps and them ta doing that for you,
yeah,
that could enable some trust, and then you don't have to do all that Googling.
no,
Do the Googling after.
yeah, of course. When you're
Yeah.
invested in them, you actually care because
Yeah.
someone's past isn't important on a first date. What they've
Hmm.
achieved isn't so important. It's working out if
Hmm.
you've got things in common, similar values. Is there a future for you? And the past is
Yeah.
irrelevant. And people do that. Oh, I looked at this guy's profile. He's done that. He was divorced somebody. I mean, he must be a really bad dad. You don't know any of this.
Yeah.
Make your own
Yeah.
judgment of someone because everyone's got a
Exactly.
past. And it's important. But
Even
yeah,
last night, like you just said, it's about what you want in life, your morals and stuff. So a guy yesterday that I was talking to, I actually previously dated him a few years ago. No, quite a few years ago actually, and he's contacted me again, and we was talking, and he was saying that he didn't want children, and I was like, well, there's no point in us going out on a date again because that's something I really want. And then he was all like, oh well, if the right person, da, da, da. But I was like,
no.
but you just made it quite clear to me that you don't want kids, and
Yeah.
yeah. And also, I'll tell you one thing about that guy when I dated him previously. It was our second date, and I turned up, and his nan and granddad and brother were there.
His nan and granddad and brother were there on a date.
Yeah, yeah.
Doing what? Sitting down waiting to meet you?
We went to the theatre, but I just thought we were going to the theatre, and we all went to the theatre.
Is
And I
that
have,
cringeworthy?
and I don't remember the show. I think I had the whole time I was like, "Oh my God, I'm with his nan and granddad and brother." Like I don't even remember what the show was or what happened.
Oh dear me, that's terrible. Theatre, as
Yeah.
much as I love the theatre, it's not the best first date because you're sat in the
No.
dark with loads of strangers, and it's not.
Yeah, but I do I totally understand, but there are nice elements to like theatre and cinema dates. Like
Yeah,
again, it's an activity. It's like t it's limited for like let's say an hour and a half, and if you're quite nervous, it is a topic of conversation. It gives you something to discuss and talk about. So I don't think it's like the worst date, especially for people that are a bit more introverted or feel nervous about something to talk about.
I agree, but not for a first date
Yeah,
because
yeah, not
from
for a first
not for,
date,
but
I guess.
I love the theatre. I go as much as I can. It's an important part of my life.
Mm.
Cinema too, but it's difficult to make time for that. But I went on a date once on a first date, and we went to see a film, and the
Mhm.
film was so depressing. By the time that we came out, went for a drink after, we're both utterly depressed, and the whole conversation was just absolutely awful, and we never saw each other again.
Oh
It
no.
killed any spark of romance by having a sad ending and someone died.
What was the film?
I think it was called Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind or Eternal Spotless Mind, or something along the lines of that. It was a weird sort of
Okay.
memory glitch thing with Jim Carrey in it. I don't remember all the details. and I can't remember, but it was depressing and it killed the date of
Okay,
atmosphere.
fair enough.
So,
Rom-coms only.
or a comedy night that could be good.
Yeah.
Comedy
Yeah,
nights are
that
fun.
but oh my God, imagine going on like a date and then just getting destroyed by the person on stage. That would be
Yeah.
embarrassing.
When I used to run singles events, I
Uh-huh.
we used to do comedy nights, and we get
Uh-huh.
quite high profile comedians to come and do it. But the trouble with that is, no one would laugh because no one wanted to be judged all these singles on finding something
Yeah.
controversially funny, and the comedians used to hate it. They wouldn't do it after a while, but some of them got on really well because they're less controversial ones. But
Mhm.
imagine that being roasted by a comedian. That's
It's hilarious.
yeah, it
But
is.
but yeah, I'd avoid it for like the first few dates until you're comfortable enough and like sure of yourself,
Sure, and
you
go
know.
out there and embrace it for what it is, being ripped apart for that. But I actually I mentioned about singles events there, and I think that is definitely a trend this year. We're talking about trends, aren't we? Well, we're going to now anyway. So I'm pro-barring that in the conversation. I think because I'm looking at doing some more events myself.
Okay.
What other trends do you see that are making more of a comeback or going to happen this year? Do you think?
So definitely massive. Everyone wants to just IRL in real life meets. So like you said, these dating events, they're huge events. People meet in like these kind of niche events as well.
Yeah,
Like running clubs are becoming dating clubs because again, it's just that's the biggest thing for that I've seen is just people want real life interactions and meetups. But yeah, people are definitely more sure, I would say, of like what they want, especially like let's say vegans. There's like
random.
vegan dating apps
They are.
where
There
and
are.
they're like
Yeah.
all these niche things. So people are going more like into niche areas to try and like get the right person for them.
There are, and that's true of all different types of people. There's field, for example. People are looking at different types of
Yeah.
relationships. There's a lot more people choosing apps based on religion or backgrounds.
Yeah.
There's Soul. There's all sort of Indian matchmaking apps and companies I work with sometimes, but they're very important. Niche is good. You have
Yeah.
less of a pool to fish in, but it's more likely to be quality and better quality matches what you're meeting,
Hmm.
and that's important. People are more serious about dating, but they want to make it happen faster. And like you
Hmm.
said just now, they're not going to be tolerating people who aren't good matches. There's no point in wasting time, and that's happened since COVID. People don't want to waste any more time.
Yeah.
They will go out and spend time with people if it's the right person, and that's an important part of this. I wanted to ask you about carouseling as well, purely because I
Hmm.
mentioned that in the intro, and we
Yeah.
touched upon it a little bit in an indirect way. But tell me, can you explain to anyone listening exactly what that is?
It's literally what we've been talking about, that
Yes.
endless talking, swiping, just talk to this one, talk to that one, go up, go down with this one, and never ever meet.
Yeah, it is.
It's tiring.
And that's a reason why I think apps like Finding the One are really good because that's
Hmm.
going to make people do that. All the events, because of course you're face to face with somebody, you can't
Yeah,
escape them.
yeah,
There is no carouseling because you're made to talk to somebody. Even speed dating, you may talk to 20 people in one night. Maybe you wouldn't have chosen to speak to, but it's all good practice and it's also really important to do that. So I think my advice to anyone listening, as it always is, try these things out, give the app a go, go to
yeah,
some events, try something, but don't just spend days and weeks and months becoming pen pal to somebody. Because the reality is, at the end of it, if you've waited months and months and months to speak to somebody, it's not going to increase the chances of you being a really good match. It's going to decrease them because it's become a fantasy. And I hope I want your thoughts on this actually before we
I
round off.
love talking about fantasy because
Yeah,
fantasy never, ever, ever, like the reality is never as good.
it's not. It can't
Ever.
be. It can't be.
Like sexual fantasies, dating fantasies, like when you build someone up in your head too much, like you have this idea of them and then they're only going to let you down because they're not this great person that you've imagined them to be in your head.
Yeah. I see that all the time. It's the expectation that someone's going to be like that, and
Mm,
they're not because no one's perfect. And do you know what?
yeah.
That makes it fun. That's what it's about. Is getting to know somebody, the good side, the dark side, all these things, and you fall in love with all of it. And you can't do that if you've built them up to be someone to come and save you or someone that's going to change your life dramatically.
Yes.
Yeah.
My ex-boyfriend always used to say to me, there's a song where a guy says, "Don't save her. She don't want to be saved." And he always used to sing that to me. And I never really understood it until about 2 years ago, because he's right. I never wanted,
It's true.
like, yeah,
This is what men
you
do
know.
all the time. It's the Superman complex. They want to sweep
Hmm.
in, sweep them off her feet, be the hero, change her life, fix all her problems on a first date, and it goes wrong because
Yeah.
women don't need saving. Of course, some of them do, but they're the more broken ones.
I actually wouldn't mind that now.
Really?
Bring it back. I need my Superman.
You want
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this week's been tough.
Has it? You don't need someone to
Yeah.
come and save you. You're strong enough already.
No,
You're.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just messing.
I'm going to ask you a question that I ask everyone towards the end of the podcast. I really want to keep talking to you, but we've both got busy days ahead of us. And I ask everyone this question. You know what the question is as well, don't you? The question is this: do you have any sort of regular or daily habits and routines that you do?
Yeah, so my lists. I write my list and
Yeah.
I try to start every day by stretching
Okay. Yeah.
and then I pray
Uh huh. Okay.
and then I get on with my work and now I try to gym. But I have, I'm not like set, you know, in like every day I do this, I eat at this time, I go here at this time, I do whatever, because where I do so many jobs, I have to be quite flexible, but I keep my little mini routine. So stretching is important to me. Praying is important to me. And then I have my own little mini routines within like getting washed, you know, like when I'm in the shower, I have my little ways of doing things and that. But yeah, stretching and having my minute to myself and praying, they're my go-tos.
That's an important way to boost your day and give it a good kickstart, I think,
Mm,
overall. You mentioned lists. I
yeah.
write lists all the time. I don't
Yeah.
journal. It's my list for the day to do that. This is actually
Hmm.
this from yesterday, this one. The problem about lists is I wrote something on my list and then you forget what it is the next day. So all morning, I'm getting old. You look at
I'm
this.
mine's the notes on my phone, and there's like this little thing where
Yeah,
you can have a button, and when you've done it, you tick it. And I find it really rewarding. So like I'll go through it, tick the things off as I've like done them, and then at the end of the
yeah,
day, I like delete the list, and that feels quite rewarding as well, like to be able to clear it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
do that
yeah,
on the computer. Yeah, I do the same thing.
yeah, I'm not, I have to be quite flexible because my line of work and my different jobs. But I like to, yeah,
Is that why you do the
pray.
stretching? Is it?
Yeah, but and I'm quite spiritual, so like I always ask my like guardian angels to like protect me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I'm
like
not laughing at that.
yeah.
I
And I
believe in that
have,
too. Yeah.
do you know what, James? So you know I said I pray. So I
Yes.
have like my little routine and things that I say in a prayer.
Yeah.
And I want your advice now. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was kind of dating this guy briefly and I really liked him.
Mhm.
And I actually, in my prayer, started to incorporate him, and he runs a business. So like I'd always be like, I want to protect him and his team.
Okay.
And I don't talk to him anymore, but it's still in my prayer. And I just like, I feel bad if I get like, I don't know what to do. Is that odd?
No. So you feel guilty if you stop praying for him, something bad's going to happen. And
Yeah.
I would say the honest answer to that is you've done your bit. You've built the
Mhm.
preparation with the foundation with the prayer, and it's someone else's problem now to go and pray for him.
Yeah.
It's not yours.
You're right.
God, whoever you believe in, is not going to punish him or punish you if you stop praying,
Okay.
because it's not important. You're better off focusing on yourself rather than, let's say, praying for people, other people on a regular basis. You are the foundation. You are the one that needs to be strong. If you're not strong, you're not looked after, and don't feel spiritually cleansed or whatever it might be, then you can't look after anyone else anyway. So
Oh, thanks, James. I needed that.
this is what I do. This is what I do. I'm very much into spirituality as well, and I'm into all these things. It's about being a good person. That's what it comes down to,
Hmm.
and that's all it is. And you're obviously a good person, but don't set that person free from your prayers now, and use that space for
Okay.
something else. But that's so nice that
Thanks.
you did that. That's good. I think my mum still prays for me on a daily basis, which is good.
I think my mum's lost hope. She needs more than a prayer for me.
She does. No, no, she must be very proud of you, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank
Right.
you.
Right. Thank you so much for joining me. I really want to keep talking to you, and we will be discussing other ways we can do that in the future. But I
Thank
want
you,
to say thank you.
James.
Two quick things. How does somebody
Yeah.
find out more about you, and how do they find out about finding the one? Is there a website or a download link for that?
Yeah, so you can go to findingtheone.com and then that website will bring you to the link to the app. They're available on the App Store. And you can find me at so.what.community on Instagram. Yeah,
Wonderful.
to join my community where we have loads of these conversations, dating, relationships, anything.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I will put
Thank you,
those links.
James.
You're welcome. Absolute pleasure talking to you. I'll put those notes in the show notes and links in there, of course. And I wish you an amazing day full of abundance and blessings. How about that?
Oh,
There
thank
you
you,
go.
James.
All
Thank
right.
you. I appreciate that.
Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.